evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Premier Sim Gaming League's YouTube channel, here for the third social race of 3 on the PC platform. In the last 2 weeks, we have headed the ways of some brilliant and historic circuits, and well, we're headed back to one today. But last 2 weeks, first race was Britain, and that was won by CRG Smasher. And then last week we of course went to Spain, won by Lenny Pepinta, and I don't believe either of these two are racing today, so we will have someone else taking the bull by the horns in the social races so far this season, and it's going to be a cracker. This is a very famous circuit, of course, Spa-Francorchamps. 22 laps around this 7-kilometer circuit. Is the longest circuit on the F1 calendar, so it has the shortest or smallest amount of laps, I should say. And well, it is very difficult on this new game, and it was my favorite track on the last game, but it's been very difficult to get used to it on the new F1 2021 game with the new handling model. But enough about me. Let's talk about some of these drivers, and we have a very high caliber grid once again. Let's I'll just quickly run through who is actually racing here tonight. So we'll go from Haas upwards. Starting in the Haas, we've got Danestar, driver that used to be on PlayStation, and now he's promoted himself up to the PC Master Race, and Sergi Casada. They run together in the Haas. Then the Williams, Ruben Pedreño. This is a driver we saw in the last social race, and he was very competitive, fighting right at the sharp end, and he would have won the race if it weren't for a pesky little penalty towards the end, and it unfortunately ruined his chances. Alongside him, his fellow countryman of Oscar Marino. In the Alfa Romeo, we have Shizu Ace and HX4K, and then Alpha Tauri, we've got Shizu Risky, and then Carter Lundy. In the Alpine, we've got WOR Bryn and FBR Don, and this is a very competitive driver. Next up in Aston Martin, Antoine Desaluski. This is a driver we've seen a lot of him in the past, and when he was in Xbox, of course, in season 27, and then in I believe in PC in season 28 he might have done a couple of races. He was certainly here in the first social race where he was very competitive. His teammate tonight is VRT Sandro. In the McLaren, I might get this name a little bit wrong, but it is Ulas Ozildrim. Hopefully I've got that one right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. He is alongside John T. F1. Then Pavi and Oscar Villacampa take up the Ferrari, and Andreas Dormeyer and Hude take up the Red Bull seat. Now the Mercedes team, and we've got Shizu Neon. He's recently signed for this team, I saw on Twitter today, so really well done to him. But his teammate for tonight, you might know him, you might not, but he is a very well-known and respected member of the community. It is Tom97, which is quite unreal to think about, but he is racing on this grid tonight. He was in PC in season 28 and in the Ferrari car, and he did have some standout moments, so we do need to watch out for him today. But before we get into qualifying, which is very soon, we do have some news to get through on the PSGL sort of widescape at the moment. So on the 26th, the sign-ups closed. You still do have a couple days to get your sign-ups back in. You've got until August the 2nd, not for the sign-ups, for the TT and evaluation. So make sure you get those in. But we do have one other bit of news for PC in specific. The F2, F3 and F4 tiers, or just any of the tiers below F2, they will be run on Wednesday night rather than PC F1. That will be held on a Thursday. We'll be running on a Wednesday evening, so it is very important for those grids. They get a little bit more chance to shine in comparison to the F1 tiers. So that is the news brought for today. Let's see. Well, I don't believe we're going into the race yet. It is 7 PM, so we should be getting underway very, very soon. But I'm just not really too sure what to expect at the moment. I'm just quickly going to run through the grid, see if we've got anyone else that we might not have expected to be on here. TF10 Bowen, or Bowen, I'm not too sure how to pronounce that. That is one of the Haas drivers for tonight, so he might be replacing... I see Danestar in the lobby, so he might be replacing his adversary tonight. That is Sergi Quesada. Now, TF10 is a Spanish team. They do have a lot of Spanish members, so it could just be him. I'm looking in the chat at the moment. Will Jarno race today? Jarno will be racing tonight. Of course, we have 8 p.m, so an hour's time from now. We will be headed for the PC Esports Invitational, commentated by George Morgan and Jack Canan. If I'm not... Actually, I think Manuelos might be doing it tonight instead of Jack. You will need to correct me. Any of the higher ups that might be lurking in the chat, you will need to let me know. But I do believe that it is Manuelos. Who are we seeing in here? We've got CRG Kryptonite. Hello, mate. VSR Brett. Of course, we do need to mention Brett, actually, because 2 nights ago, I was one of the commentators alongside the brilliant Jess Games. We were taking part in the VSR X PSGL Invitational event, which ended in dramatic fashion. After you've watched the races for tonight, please go back and watch that one, because it was incredible. We had a very dramatic end. I won't spoil it for anyone that didn't get into it last time, but it is a must watch, and we've got one guy to thank for that. That is VSR Brett. He put in tremendous efforts to get it all sorted out, get the grid sorted, and get the event, which had some really strong talents on there, one of them being Alvaro Caraton, the Williams esports driver. He made a feature in that event, so it was crazy to have such a high caliber grid. And I'd say at that point it was the craziest, well, quickest grid I've actually seen. DV19 Gaming is saying, does it matter that I changed my account name on PS after I signed up? Well, if you're in the Discord, there should be a channel somewhere where it's you change your name. I'm not too sure where it is. You could go into the contact little subsection and then go into got a question, and then the admins will get back to you on that one there. But it shouldn't matter. You still should be racing if you have signed up and you get everything handed in. You won't lose out on anything. I'm just gonna quickly check in the Discord chat. What is the slight delay? It might be my fault, who knows. I'm definitely in spectator mode. Join or we go at 5 past. Okay, so one of the drivers is not joining. I won't name and shame him, but we should be going at 5 past, hopefully. What it is, I don't know, is that... Yep. No, thank you, Brett, for also allowing for me to do that. It was I can't stress to you how great of a race it was. It went right down to the wire, and there was a lot of battling throughout the field. We also saw a feature from Time and Shooter. He was also in last season in the PC tier in F1 in season 28, of course, and he made an appearance. So once again, a very strong grid that is there. I'm just trying to see what there is, what the hold up is. We've got 1 minute and then we should be going in. I might just put some question marks in the Discord chat because I'm running out of things to talk about here. Perfect. Yeah, no worries, man. Yeah, just make sure you get that. But you will be, I can almost guarantee it that there won't be issues with it. Okay, yeah, so I'm just gonna look through the grid once again. We've only got 19 drivers in the lobby at the moment. I'll just run through the list of names that are in. We've got WOR Bryn, Cartelundi, ERT Danestar, Pavi, Don, Ulas, Antoine Dezaluski, HX4K, VRT Sandro, Shizu Neon, Andreas Dormeyer, Shizu Ace, Shizu Risky, Ruben Pedreño, Oscar Villacampa, TF10 Bowen. I really hope I do say that one right. Hugh, Tom97, Oscar Marino, and then myself. Once we get into the race, then we will. Then I'll bring it in. Any toes? I would also just like one thing to mention. Today, the drivers are allowed setups. If I'm not mistaken, they will be allowed setups in this race. So in the last 2 races that we have seen, of course, we had fixed setups, preset setups. And that was so as to not give an advantage to other drivers who haven't had as much, who have had more time to play the game than drivers that haven't. So it was a level playing field, but now the drivers can experiment with the setups, and this will increase the pace. Most certainly, it will make the drivers a lot quicker because there is a huge difference between racing on a preset setup and then using your own. But I'm glad to say that we have readied up. We are just loading into the session. Drivers will be fixed on what tyres they can use. We've got an 18-minute qualifying session, then a 50% race, 22 laps around Spa-Francorchamps. Welcome to anyone just joining our stream now. Hope you are having a wonderful evening. We are here for the Belgian Grand Prix for the third social race on the PC platform of season 29. 56 live viewers in chat at the moment. Welcome to you all. If you're enjoying it, please drop a like and drop a subscription. The big red button just under the video, you can't miss it. But we have long awaited for this one. We are finally in qualifying, and let's have a look. Here we are. So all the drivers will be lining up. They'll be getting ready to go. We only have 19 drivers. Unfortunately, the driver that wasn't in, he did not manage to join. I don't know what's happened with him there, but it's one of the McLarens. We've only got one McLaren in today, and that is Ulas Ozildrim. Again, I humbly apologise if I do make a mistake with his name, but he is off on his out lap today. So let's have a look see. He's on the soft compound of tyres. We do see a couple of drivers fitting the mediums, which is very interesting to see. Pavi and Bryn at the moment, they are on the medium compound of tyre. So it's a bit less grip and a bit less pace in comparison to a set of the softs. But they do have more longevity. They are the better race tyre, as you can put it, as Ulas. Really struggling with some of the understeer that I guess you get on this new game. He's running very wide on the exit of Les Combes, of course, the chicane, which has a death curb. I wouldn't be too surprised if anyone spins off there. It's just at the turning point, the first braking zone, the only braking zone of Les Combes. It's the right-hander, and if you get too much on that curb, your car is going to go for a spin. There's almost no holding it. It's very tricky. The curbs are very unforgiving on this new game, so the drivers will have to be careful of that one there. Just through Stabilo, the lowest point of the circuit. And a little fun fact about this track: the difference between the highest point of this circuit, which is at the top of Radion, and the lowest point, the altitude difference is about the same height as Big Ben, the huge clock tower in central London. So it is crazy how much undulation this circuit has. But finally we will get to see a lap from the McLaren car of Ozildrim. He's coming up towards the line, and now he's begun his lap in towards turn number 1, La Source. It's a very slow hairpin, reaching speeds just at about 70 kilometers per hour, and then quickly accelerating out of the corner on the run up towards the infamous Eau Rouge and Radion. Through Eau Rouge and up the hill to climb Radion, and it is a beautiful run for Ulas Ozildrim. Then on towards the Kemmel Straight, where we'll see a bulk of the overtakes, I would imagine, today, going up to speeds of about 330 kilometers per hour, and then turning it in 5th gear towards Les Combes, feathering the throttle through this part of the circuit so as to avoid understeer. And on the run up towards Rivage on the downhill section of the circuit, this lap is looking very tidy for the McLaren driver at the moment, and this could be a very strong banker. Through No Name he goes, and up towards Pouon. Very understeery on this new game. We will see some invalidations there, but he's got through very nice and tidily at this point. Now through this short little S's section. Very tricky on the curbs again, especially on the left-hander there that he's just gone through, but he's got through it very nicely. Down at Stabilo, riding the curbs, it's a 12.5 through the second sector split. The only time to be there through there at the moment, so of course it is purple. But now through Blanchimont, the flat-out section of the circuit, where there is a very heavy braking zone, probably the slowest point of the circuit. It is of course the bus stop chicane. Not much of a bus stop anymore, but through here he's keeping it in third to keep as much grip as possible. What's the opening time going to be? It's a 40.4 for Ozildrim, and that is a very nice time to start us off tonight. Cartelundi is the next driver to cross the line in the Alpha Tauri. What's it going to be for him there? And it is a 40.7. HX4K pulling off into the pit lane. We've got WOR Bryn the next up as Carter retires from the session already. Now, if we can stay on board with Bryn, I think he's just straight lined it there. He might have had a wheel failure. That is possible to have. But that is a very interesting place to just... Our throttle pedal got stuck, I'm reading in the chat. Really unfortunate. That puts an end to his qualifying session. As more drivers completing their laps. Desaluski's gone quickest with a 40.1. Risky has jumped Ozildrim into second position on a 40.4, just about 13 thousandths quicker, as we'll find a driver further up on their lap. Villacampa is about to cross the line. Andreas Dorma has just gone onto pole position as Villacampa goes into third. So times are beginning to come down early in the session. We're about 6 minutes of the way through. We're almost at the halfway point. Already has absolutely flown by. Let's watch Pedreño on his run. And this is a driver that, two cars having a little spin there. I believe that might be Bryn around at the moment. I don't know. I didn't quite see the tires. I might actually be... I might be Don, but Pedreño going for a spin. I'd imagine on the way in, the curb must have just made him lose the car. It's very easy to slip up on the curb and lose it, but that is him around, and his time completely in the mud. I believe Bryn was on his cooldown lap. We did see it was Bryn. I don't think he was pushing, so I think he got away with that one there, as Shizu Ace about to cross the line now. He's got Neon, his teammate at Shizu, in behind him. Fourth position for the Alfa Romeo driver. Unfortunately, Neon, who's just signed with Shizu today, he has unfortunately invalidated his lap time. So we'll find someone a little bit further up on their lap. Let's find Pavi. Oh, Pavi's taking a trip through the gravel. Almost down at Stabilo there. And I wonder what's happened with that Ferrari car. There's a lot of drivers come out of Cropper early on in the session. We're about halfway through. Only 11 of the 19 drivers have put in a lap. So we are waiting for a couple of these guys to finish up on their runs, or at least start their runs. That will leave us with Don at the moment. I believe he's the furthest driver up on his lap at the moment. And he's just on the run up towards Stabilo. Not riding the curbs, he's keeping it very cautious, not wanting to slip up, and it's only a 13.2 at the moment for the Alpine driver. His teammate having a spin early on in the session, so it seems like they're struggling at the moment. Bryn is the slowest of all the times that have gone in on a 40.3, but he is on the medium compound of tires, so really what he's aiming for is a top 10 position, which he's not in at the moment, so he might want to think about coming out on a set of the softs. Here is Don to cross the line in the Alpine, and it is only quicker than his teammate, and by about 1 second, about a tenth off of the car behind him of Bowen. But it is unfortunate that he's not been able to get into the top 10 with that time. Of course, one of the benefits of starting outside the top 10 just outside the top 10 is that you get a free choice of tyre, which can really benefit you in the race, to have the flexibility with the strategy. And you could be a little bit different to your competitors, as HX4K has run a touch too wide down at Les Combes, and that invalidates his run, struggling at the moment to put in a lap on a set of the soft compound of tyre. We'll see if we can find anyone behind him. Danestar is on a lap at the moment, but he is also invalidated. So drivers again struggling to put in valid times. We still only sit with a couple drivers who have actually put in laps. There's more drivers going slowly. I'd ask you to go quicker so we can actually see how much time is left in the session. But it might be him out of fuel. I do believe that Don has run out of fuel on his cooldown lap. So we can't see how much time is left in the session, but I'd say it's around about 9 or 8 minutes. That is my guess. Drivers are coming out for their second runs, and quite possibly their final runs, seeing how they go. I believe it's just about 9 minutes, so I'd say second, and then they'll have a final run to end it off. We'll follow Oscar Marino on his lap. He has not put in a time at this point. but he is on a flyer at the moment in the Williams car. He and his teammate yet to post a time in this qualifying session. The number 70 donned by the Spaniard now coming through no name corner at the moment, where his teammate spun on his lap, and he's got through that very cleanly. He's got a Mercedes just in front of him. I believe that's Tom 97. He's going off the circuit, getting well out of the way of Oscar Marino, which is something you do like to see. Drivers just having that mutual respect for each other. As here he is on the run up towards Stabilo. We'll see what he can do on this time. Through the second sector split to 12.2 for Oscar Marino, so he can certainly be a competitor, at least in the top 3, I would say, with this lap so far. Unless I'm just overestimating what the times are actually like. But here he goes through Blanchimont and on the run up towards the bus stop chicane. We'll see what Oscar Marino can do on this lap. His teammates just begun one, so at least those two finally getting their times on the board. Here it is, Oscar Marino towards the line, and it is third quickest. I nailed that one right on the head, if I do say so myself. As we'll see if we can find anyone else on a lap. Ruben Pedreño, I believe he's got drivers ahead of him on run, so you know what, I won't spectate him on this, but watch HX4K, because he's on a 12.1 through the second sector split. This could be very competitive from the Englishman, as Ulas Azildrim goes into the 39s, the first driver to reach the 1 minute 39s in this session. He's just on the bubble of being a 40, but we'll see if HX4K can beat it. Does get close, he goes in second position. Both these drivers who just put in laps have gone ahead of Andres Dormeyer, who's unfortunately invalidated on his run. We'll watch maybe Antoine Desaluski at this point. We'll see where he can go, as he's just going through Pouon. See if we can catch anyone further up on their laps. Let's check in on Tom 97. Unfortunately, invalidating his time. So he won't be able to put in a lap this time, which means he'll only get one opportunity to post a lap. Very unfortunate and very difficult to do, as Desaluski's not finding much of an improvement through the second sector split. Only about a couple thousandths of a second, but the number 6 French car, he's in 4th position at the moment on a competitive 1 minute 40.156, but we'll see through the bus stop chicane if he can find time on his previous best lap, as running up to line, opening up the DRS. Where can Desaluski go? He improves, but it's not enough to jump Dormeyer. About 5 thousandths of a second. That's 5 milliseconds between the pair of them. So very competitive from them there. Villacampa not able to set a valid lap this time by. What about Pedreño? He's also invalidated his run. So really difficult for him at this point to put in a valid lap. As I think someone's just finished the lap. It was an Aston Martin. It might have been Sandro then. Going 3/10 quicker than his previous best time. He's managed to jump Cartalundi, which puts him outside the top 10 pretty much permanently in this session. So that means he will get to choose whatever set of tyres he runs in the race, or at least he starts on. So I'd imagine the medium tyres. What was that line from Dainstar there? Who's running on the grass? From what I saw, is I think there's been an incident down at Stabilo, as Neon's just DNF'd. And he is down at that part of the tracks. We'll see Ruben Pedreño. Wow, that car's completely torn up. No front wing whatsoever, and imagine broken suspension on at least one of those wheels. So he's in the walls at the moment. No time will be set for Shazoo Neon, and it's a very easy mistake to make, especially going at high speeds. You might have just feathered the throttle a bit too hard and then spun the car. So I think he'll be kicking himself about that one, but it could be a last question mark challenge for Neon. So we'll see what he can do with that one, though. Another driver yet to put in a lap is Pavi in the Ferrari car for tonight. He started this session on the mediums. Now he's on the softs, and he's on a 14.2. This is not competitive, to say the very least, for Pavi, but it does have potential to at least climb up the order. If he nails his final sector, he can find some time on his rivals. Whether it's enough to get ahead of any of them, that remains to be seen. As now through the final part of the track for Pavi to cross the line. What's it going to be? And it's a 42.6, which I believe brings time. Yeah, still on the mediums, so I'd imagine not happy with that lap for Pavi. But now we're in a bit of a lull period where we do have drivers coming out for their outlaps, and they'll be trying to set their final runs. We got two cars out on laps at the moment. Don's not on a lap, but on his outlap is Bryn. We'll have to check in with him at some point. I think we'll probably ride on board with the Englishman on this lap because he can find some improvement. We'll just check the gap to the car in front, or at least the leader. 2.3 seconds off of Ulas at the moment. But he is on the mediums as now he'll begin on his lap to start it here, opening up the DRS on the run up towards La Source in the Alpine car. My favorite livery on this grid, I've got to say, is very attractive to look at. It's a bit of a slide coming out of turn number 1 on the throttle, but he at least can find some way to get a bit of speed up Eau Rouge and Radion. We're riding on board with him there, which is a beautiful shot. Took that with delicacy, and he did that very nicely on the run up towards Les Combes down the Kemmel straight. It would help to have a bit of tow from the car, I believe it's Bowen that's just come out the lap, but on his outlap. But he did allow him to get past, so no slipstream and no tow for Bryn, but possibly down the straightaway. Not down the straightaway, down Blanchimont, he can pick up a tow from the Ferrari car just in front of him. Here is a big slide out of oh my goodness me, these lines these drivers are able to take, they should not be allowed to do that, as in the game physically shouldn't let them. I guess there's no way to enforce the track limits because they did have 2 tires on the track, but don't know how they're taking these lines or what actually allows them to do that. But the weird and mysteriousness of this game just never ceases to surprise me. As a bit of debris still on circuit, luckily as a man managed to avoid it so as to not pick up a puncture. I think that'd be disastrous for Bryn if that were the case, because it's looking like a very tidy lap for the British driver. But through to the bus stop chicane at this point, what can Bryn post on this lap? Can he find himself maybe in the top 5? I'd say that's where he's aiming to go. It's 11th. You know what? That's a great place to start. 11th is sort of the poor man's pole position, as I like to call it, as both Ulas, Zildjian and HX4K have been validated on their laps, but Oscar Marino is pushing at the moment, as we'll see where he can go on this lap. Riding on board with the Williams driver already in 5th position, about 2.5 tenths off the pace. Don getting out of the way there could put off Marino ever so slightly, but he has managed to get through cleanly. I don't think it would have been an issue, but a Red Bull car right in front of him here, which seems to be Andreas Dormeyer. He'll also get out of the way on the run up towards Stabilo. As you see yellow flags in the final sector, those are just drivers lining up for their laps, so don't worry about them. No drivers have gone off, but Marino is improving on this lap. And if he does find a little bit of time through this final sector here, well, he can possibly nestle himself up onto the front row of the grid. Maybe if he's found even more time, he could beat Zildjian on his lap. But through the final sector here, what can Marino do? He goes to the line and he is just under a tenth off of Ulas Zildjian. He is very close, but he's not close enough. Antoine Desaluski also on a push lap at the moment, currently in 5th position. He's only got 5 thousandths of a second off of Andreas Dormeyer, who has just begun on his final lap, so we'll have to check up with him at some point, as I believe Sandro's gone off the circuit at Desaluski as well. Aston Martin's going off in succession as Desaluski loses the car. He is out of qualifying here, and what looked to be an improvement for him as the clock strikes 0. Desaluski beers off the circuit, losing his tyre in the process. That is his run over Villacampa, not improving. So we can watch as Risky actually goes up in 2nd position. Let's watch Tom 97 in this one through the second to last sector. He's actually got Ulas Zildjian on a push lap in front of him, but he is down by quite some margin, so he won't focus on him. As through the second sector split, it is a 12.2 for Tom 97, and that could be alarm bells ringing for the drivers at the front of the grid. Ulas Zildjian, the only driver to be in the 1:39 at this point in time. We'll see if Tom 97 could be a threat to him at this point in the Mercedes. The Black Arrow coming into the braking zone through the bus stop chicane, running a little bit deep through there. Villacampa does manage to improve. improve, getting himself within a tenth of Ulas Azildren, but it's not enough. Tom 97 can only go into 12th position. What about Andreas Dormeyer? He's finding a start improvement at the moment. He's up by some margin, and he could be on track for pole position in this one. No other drivers can put in a lap quite like Andreas Dormeyer. He's so close, but he lost time in the final sector. Look at how close this grid is at the moment. Two more drivers to put in laps. Ace is invalidated. What about Danestar? Danestar is just coming through the final sector here. The last driver to put in a lap in this session. Where's he gonna nestle that hash car at 16th position for Danestar? But that is the end of qualifying here in PSGL in the social race, and we see 3 drivers have managed to put it in the 1:39s, which seemed a long way away back in F1 2020, but it is here. And look at that for a qualifying session. Ulas Azildren peaks pole position at 39.955. Andreas Dormeyer couldn't beat him at the end there. Is just about 200ths of a second off. Risky was the last driver to go into the 39s, as the rest of the grid is as follows: Villacampa, Marino, HX4K, Dezeluski, Tom 97, Shazoo Ace, VRT Sandro, TF10 Bowen, WOR Bryn, Carter Lundy, FER Don, Hugh Danestar, Pavi, and Neon and Pedreño not putting in a single lap. But that is the end of qualifying, and we will get ready for this 22-lap race around the 7-kilometer long circuit, the longest circuit on the F1 calendar. What are all your thoughts in the chat at the moment? We've got about 127 concurrent viewers at the moment. What are your thoughts on that qualifying? And let's get some predictions for a potential pole position candidate in this race. The driver's just going to be locking in their strategies. I'd imagine it's a soft to medium. If I had to guess who would be on pole, who would win this race, I'm going to go with a little bit of an outside the box answer here. He's starting quite a ways back, not too far though, but he is certainly losing positions, I'd say, at this point. He's I don't know where he is, but I'd say Dezeluski is going to win this race, because before his incident he was looking like he was on a flyer. He was already improving by about a tenth in the first sector split. And then through Sector 2, he looked really, really strong. But the drivers have just rolled off on their formation lap. So let's go back to the race screen, and we'll have a quick look at the tyres situation. As there we go. Just had to have a little sip of water. But the top 10, they all have to start on the compound of tyre that they qualified on. And then the rest of the grid, from 11th down to 19th, they get a free choice of whatever tyre they want. So Bowen had opted for the medium tyre. Bryn has gone for a set of the soft, so he'll be very quick early on in comparison to these medium runners, and he'll be on a similar strategy to those inside the top 10. Carter Lundy, interestingly enough, the only driver to fit a set of the hard compound tyres, the white wall tyres. That'll be very interesting to see. He'll try and take these long into the race. But that's a weird one, I would say, as the rest of the grid downwards have all opted for the medium compound tyres. I just want to check to see we don't have any safety car in this race. We'll see. I'm gonna have a quick look at the predictions. We got one driver, one guy, Seth Ferreira, saying HX4K will win. And now this is a driver that is very competitive on his day, and he was in the first social race in Britain. And his name was in the Goblet of Fire to win that race. But unfortunately, he tangled with his teammate at the time, Pablo Jogular. Both of them running in the Aston Martin. They tangled, and that completely shot any chance of him winning the Grand Prix. But he does have an opportunity here. I think he'd be quite pleased to see that Pablo's not on this grid, because if they were, then they might come into contact again. You know, drivers have been under that. Oh, Dezeluski getting very close to the back of HX4K, but he did manage to avoid it so as to not get disqualified. Okay, let's have a look-see here. So the race is about to get underway. Ulas Azildren just coming into his grid slot now, and we'll have to wait for Pedreño, and I think that's Danestar. Danestar's a little bit further back. Might have had an incident at some point. He might have just had a quick spin, maybe a half spin, but the last of the drivers filling into their grid slots. We've got support for Andreas Dormeyer and Sandro as well, starting in 10th position. So a lot of drivers in many people's predictions to win this race, as you can just hear the low grumble of the cars. The engines begin to rev up, the lights come on here in Belgium. As here we go, 5 red lights, and we are underway here for the third social race, and it has been a beautiful start for Azildrim, but he has got the Red Bull of Andreas Dormeyer challenging him on the outside line. Seems like the 2 Ferrari cars, as all as a spinner, it's HX4K and Oscar Marino, Carl Lundy out of the session early on, many casualties at turn number 1. There's a Williams going slow, Dazalewski as well losing a number of positions, fighting up the hill, as we'll look at the leaders, because Azildrim could be coming under pressure from Andreas Dormeyer, charging down in towards the Lacombe chicane. Doesn't seem like he wants to go for the move early on in this race, but we do have side-by-side battles further back behind. Shizu Ace fighting with Tom 97 for 5th position. 2 retirements already in this race, and it's not even lap number 2 yet, as Dezalewski with a poor start. He must have had contact with someone at some point, because he's right down in 11th position, could have some wing damage as well. He seems to be okay with that one there, as Pedreño's gone for a spin. Disastrous scenes on lap number 1 here, as I do apologize there, as well, Ulas Azildrim with the start of dreams in P1, Andreas Dormeyer in P2 as Dezalewski begins his charge. Coming all the way up to 10th position already. He's got Bowen just in front of him. On his head, the medium compound of tyres, as Bryn having a moment there through Stavilo, it looked like. He's struggling early on to get grip in his tyres. Here is Dezalewski now fighting with the Haas car. They're going to go wheel to wheel through the flat out section of Blanchimont. Seems like Dezalewski just got the edge on Bowen, but now can the Frenchman go on the attack on the French car of Bryn to the outside line of the bus stop chicane? Unbelievable stuff here. Can he make this one work as they complete lap number 1? They're still going to be wheel to wheel off the exit. Slight rub there from the sidewall of the tyres, but now on the outside line, Bryn's going to have the inside, the shorter turning, but the momentum on the outside will favour Dezalewski. Now they're going to run 2 abreast down the straightaway and possibly into Eau Rouge. Could they go wheel to wheel? Bryn has to back out. Eventually, he was the car behind at that point. Dezalewski taking P8 for the time being, but now the Alpine driver going to go back on the attack. No DRS this time by, so he's going to have to drive about his wit, trying to look to the outside line, has to pull back in line of the Frenchman. And well, I think that concludes a brilliant and chaotic first couple of laps here, as Ulas Azildrim leads the way from Andreas Dormeyer. Villacampa has found himself up into third position. We'll see all the gaps that the drivers have got at the moment, as Bowen and Hugh fighting out, but a lot of drivers making up early positions due to the incidents. The biggest mover at the moment is Hugh getting into P10, as all 3 drivers in 5th to 7th, they've made up positions early on due to the incidents around them. Well, if you predicted Lundy, HX4K, Marino or Pedreño to win, you might be going home a little bit sad tonight, as all those drivers out in the first couple of laps. It says lap 3 at the moment, but that is not true. There's always been that glitch. Has been an issue. Seems like it hasn't managed to. They've not managed to fix it. Being Codemasters, that is, as well, they're known for not fixing online, as here comes Antoine Dezalewski trying to pick another one off of his list to go up the inside line. This is my prediction to win this race, having early issues in the race, as a big slide out of turn number 1 as well. It was going to be an overtake for him, I'd say. He did have the run on Sandro. He's also going to have DRS on his Aston Martin teammate, and a great run up the hill to now follow through to go to the outside line on the Camel Strike. We'll see where Bryn could also file in here. They're going to be 3 abreast coming into Lacombe, and I think Sandro has to back out there, yeah, as Bryn can't find a move on Dezalewski, who has to cut the chicane. He runs a little bit, he just runs a touch too wide, as Dan is out of this race as well. I think it might have been the death curve that actually put him the wrong way round, which what I was talking about earlier on, but he is out of this race. So another casualty in this one leaves us with only 14 runners in this Grand Prix, as well, it says that Villacamper's lost the position. He has lost that third position to Risky, but they haven't. It's not got the intervals anymore, so the intervals a little bit glitched at this point, which isn't great to see. But oh well, as Sandro retires as well. Another driver out on lap number 3. Can I minimize the spectator menu? I only use it just to scroll through the drivers, but if I'm not scrolling, then sure, I can do so. As Bryn and Dezeluski fighting it out at the moment for 7th position. This appears to be the closest gap on circuit at the moment. There are some fights going on up ahead. We'll watch some of the leaders. I think Risky looking really strong early on in this race. Lap number 4 has just begun for these drivers, and Andreas Dorma has also lost the DRS to Ulas Azildrim, so possibly could go for a move in towards Les Combes up the Kemmel Straight, looking up towards Radion and Eau Rouge. He's very close to the back of the German driver now, flying up the hill to open up the DRS. I don't think Andreas Dorma has any semblance of hope defending that position. It's very difficult when you don't have DRS and the car behind does have it, so yeah, it was easy to get that overtake, as Ace also falling victim to the overpowered DRS attack. But Bryn might have more work cut out for him, as a 3-second time penalty goes the way of Danestar. Very deep on the brakes. Is Bryn going there? But he's managed to hold it, and he's not gone into the back of Ace, but nevertheless he does look quicker. I think that might be due to the tyres possibly being in slightly better condition. Of course, Bryn having the freshest compound out of all the soft runners at the moment, who had to start on this compound. Oh, there's a car off. It's Tom 97 in the Mercedes, and he's had a spin down at the S's, and he'll be dropping right down the order. And another driver falling victim to, I'd assume, the curbs, which are really playing issues, as here comes Bryn onto the back of Ace on lap number 4 towards Blanchimont. Ace already blinking red lights there for him, so he is struggling with the ERS. Coming into the bus stop chicane, is Bryn gonna take the DRS opportunity, or is he gonna go for a dive bomb? He hangs back, which means he'll probably want to go for it on the Kemmel Straight, but Ace does have DRS on Dezeluski in front of him, so it might be a bit more tricky to get an overtake down. But through La Source, he's not close enough to go for an overtake there, but possibly up in towards Eau Rouge and Radion. We'll see what the gaps are like. It's about 2.5 tenths, a quarter of a second. Now that gap is beginning to close as the cars emerge above the crest. Here it is, Bryn going for an overtake down the straightaway, and he's got that one done on the car in front. Shizou Ace losing out on the positions, as seems like the drivers in front also have caught up to Ulas Azildrim. Risky looking really strong in this race. He was present for the Spanish social race, which happened this time last week. He started outside the top 10, and he finished in a really good position, making use of the alternate strategy, which really worked in his favor. So he's managed to have yet another strong race in the PSGL social races, and he's now challenging Ulas Azildrim, who's looked unbeatable. He's led since the start of the race, where he was on pole, and it could be a lights to flag finish if all things go well for him. But they do have the angry Andreas Dormeyer and Oscar Villacamper following in behind, as well as AI mode for Risky. I don't know how accurate that is there, as Ace gets a 3-second time penalty. But now Azildrim could be feeling the pressure from the Alpha Tauri driver following into the bus stop chicane here. Not going to go for the move under braking there, but possibly in towards turn number 1. We're on board with the Honda powered Alpha Tauri. I think the revs glitch has also been patched, as yellow flags through sector 3. I think it might be Neon losing timer. It could be Tom Knight. I think it was Neon go for a spin, but nevertheless we look back up to the battle for the lead of this Grand Prix. On board once again with Risky, rising up the hill and opening up the DRS on Ulas Azildrim. No answer for the attack there, but what about Dormeyer? It's also looking like he's going to be hotly contesting the McLaren car. Doesn't seem like it, but Bryn does also find an opportunity through on Dezeluski. So a lot of moves being made on that straight, which is what I did mention in qualifying. These drivers would easily find overtakes down the Kemmel Straight using the DRS. It is one of the longest straights on the F1 calendar, only a few spring to mind that are actually longer than this, like in Mexico, in towards turn 1, and then of course the Baku Straight. Those are ones that do come to mind, but certainly the Kemmel Straight is up there, and that is really shown by the amount of DRS overtakes that we are seeing through there. Soft runners at this point, 5 laps on their tyres, plus the qualifying lap that they did. They will be beginning to feel some wear, and all the soft runners are in the top at the moment, aside for Tom 97, as I've just heard the tyre barriers shatter. And I think that might have been Desaluski straight lining it and spearing it into the wall, if I'm not mistaken, because I don't think he would go off at that point to that extreme through there, but nevertheless he's out of this session. He just also picked up a 3-second time penalty, and at that point I guess he'd have just said, you know what, I'm done, screw this, and he's out of this session. But drivers are still rating at this point. We can't pay too much attention to it anymore. Now we're just left with 12 runners left here, as up towards Eau Rouge and Radion, the tables have turned for Uzildrum and Risky, because Uzildrum will have the DRS and he'll have the advantage coming in towards Les Com on Risky in front of him as the cars fly down the straightaway here. Here comes Ulas Uzildrum. He's not close enough, and Risky managed to pull a gap just wide enough so that Uzildrum couldn't attack him. And I think that he might have a lower downforce setup, and he's actually able, a higher downforce setup, and he's actually able to pull away a little bit down towards in the second sector. But Dormeyer is also looking strong. Uzildrum, he might have burned off all of his tyres early on, trying to pull a gap to the cars in front. Risky came along, bridged that gap, and then overtook him, but I'd imagine he is struggling with the tyre wear at this point. As through the S's section now, on lap number 7, Dormeyer gets a penalty. We've just ridden on board with him, and that is for 3 track extensions. Gets you a 3-second time penalty. They come in warnings, of course, in increments of 3. You get 2 warnings, 3rd strike, and you're out. As we've only got 4 drivers with penalties at this point. The other ones being Ace, Danestar, and Pavi. Pavi's way back in the pack at the moment. He has very little hope of winning this race, I would say. As are any drivers going to pull into the pits? Andreas Dormeyer does decide, excuse me there, but he does decide to come into the pit lane. I'm just going to have one quick sip of water. A couple of other drivers as well have opted to change the tyres, as Bryn, Tom 97, and Ace all opting to change, as a new front wing actually going on for Ace there. As up at the front though, here comes Uzildrum, and these two, I think they'll be playing hot potato with the lead for a long time, because well, he goes for the lead of the Grand Prix and he takes it on lap number 8. As Risky tried to defend it, he pulled to the right hand side to potentially hold him off, but it was to no avail, as they've got Oscar Villacampa beginning to lose touch slightly. That is of course because Dormeyer decided to pit, and then the gap opened up, a bit of a chasm between them where Dormeyer was, and he could be losing DRS as well to the drivers in front if he's not careful. It might be smart of him to pit, try and cover off the undercut from Dormeyer, and then be dragged along to fight these guys in the battle for the lead. I'd say that is the best action plan for the number 20 car of Oscar Villacampa. These guys, lap number 8, beginning to struggle with their tyres. Realistically, they could have pit lap 6. That is when the tyres sort of can go to the end of the Grand Prix. But all of them decided to stay out. We did see some pitters on lap number 7, but number 8, I'd imagine the rest of the leaders will opt to come into the pit lane here. As there they go, they peel off to the right hand side to take the pit entry, and imagine Villacampa follows them too, as I think I just heard a bit of a crunch of a front wing there. Someone made contact with the wall, but I don't think it actually caused any damage, which is very fortunate. But now we'll see where Dormeyer can emerge in comparison to these guys just coming through the final corners now and down the straightaway, as he overtakes them, but they will skip out turn number 1. The undercut of dreams. I think Uzildrum might have had wing damage. That must have been the case. he must have hit the wall there, because he's lost so much time to everyone else. As I can check the race director just quickly here. Pit stops. Azildrim front wing change, so he did pick up wing damage. My ears weren't playing tricks on me, as Azildrim, what looked so strong for him, he's picked up a bit of front wing damage. He's lost an insane amount of time, but nevertheless, Andreas Dormeyer takes the net lead of the Grand Prix. Risky in second now. It's a net P2, of course. We still have the top four on the alternate strategies. They've all just picked up time penalties in quick succession. Hugh just picked up one, it might have been Neon, but one of them picked up time penalty, and then so did Bowen. And this actually could be a little bit of an issue for the Haas drivers. A big amount of dust has just been kicked up by one of the drivers in front, but it could be an issue for them if they decide to pit on the same lap. If you're thinking about it, as Villacampa, I thought he had a spin there. I think it might actually be, I don't know why there were yellow flags. Someone must have had an off somewhere. I think it was Bryn, actually. Bryn was closing, close to the back of Risky. And also the difference in speed is certainly present between himself and Villacampa. So I think Bryn must have had an off, or just a half spin. Managed to save it eventually, but unfortunate for him there, as Dormeyer now is looking on the attack, trying to clear some of the traffic early on. I'd say Neon is not going to be an issue for him, because here he comes through La Source and off the exit of the corner. I love the slight whine of the Honda engines on this game. Red Bull versus Mercedes, like Hamilton versus Verstappen, up the hill of Eau Rouge and Radion, and it should be an easy enough move for Andreas Dormeyer. He was in the net lead of this Grand Prix, fighting it out with Risky in behind him. Shazoo teammates now run 5th and 6th. Ace a little bit further back in 10th position, as lap 10 of 22. Not too much longer for these drivers to take advantage of this race and really try and go for overtakes, as we've only got 12 runners left in this one. We lost about 4 drivers after lap number 1, then Don, Sandra and Dezeluski all followed. Dezeluski being the most recent retirement, losing it at Stabilo and DNFing out of this race. Sandra does leave the session there, so might have heard me talking about him, who knows, but he has just decided to leave the session there, as one of the closest gaps on circuit at the moment is the battle for net P3 between WOR Bryn, who started outside the top 10 on a set of the soft compound tyres, now runs in 7th, as Ulas Azildrim picks up a 3-second time penalty. That's not going to help his cause. Only 3 drivers without time penalties in this race, being Risky, Bryn and Villacampa at this point, fighting for a net P2, 3 and 4 between the lot of them, as Dormeyer manages to overtake Danestar. That's because the Haas runner has decided to pit early for the medium runners, actually, at this point, I would say. What if he's going on set of the hards, as Azildrim puts in a fastest lap? Soft tyres will be going on for Danestar, as that's very interesting, actually. 11 laps might be difficult, I would say, as Hugh is going to get past Bowen for the lead of the Grand Prix, and I think Risky is going to follow suit as well. So easy overtakes on the DRS straights for those drivers. What about Villacampa? It might be more difficult for him. Certainly going to bridge the gap to Bryn behind him, but it doesn't seem like he's close enough to go for the move. And I imagine he is definitely going to be hungry for the overtake, but he's just not able to at this point, as another 3-second time penalty for Azildrim, who's really pushing at this point in the race. Struggling at that. Oh dear, Neon's out. Neon's out, and that is a catastrophic incident for him there, losing it. Kind of Nicolas Longuet style. If you didn't see on Twitter, Longuet had a crash during actually, no. I think he just tried to take the line that everyone was taking, but Longuet didn't have a crash there. I do apologise. Might have been Maldonado style, where he lost the car at No Name and then put it in that inside barrier, as he's now out of this race. We're left with 11 runners, and Pavi, who's just pitted, now could also be on track for points if everyone else decides to also DNF out of this Grand Prix. As when will we see these leaders come in for a set of tyres? Seems like they all stay out for the time being. We've only got 2 of them left on the alternate strategy, aside from Danestar, who's going to be fighting with Tom 97 very soon, I'd imagine. If he wants to go for the move, doesn't seem like this time by, as we'll follow along with Villacampa and Bryn. Ulas Azildrum with 6 seconds of time penalties now joining in on the battle. Can either of these drivers take it here? Doesn't seem like it. Villacampa not close enough, I don't think. Down the straightaway, opening up the DRS. No, he's just not close enough. Bryn even blinking red lights at this point, so he's losing time on the straightaways with those ERS failures. As Danestar also finds a way through on Tom 97 for 9th position. So that is one driver picked off his list on the set of the soft compound tyres. And imagine he'd be undercutting his rivals in Hugh and Bowen as well, because those two have been fighting. And a couple laps over, undercut really is going to help, as Bryn running so wide there. Wow. I don't know how he's not lost that back wheel. I'd say Bryn might need a new pair of trousers, because Code Brown at Alpine, he hits his back tyre and maybe his rear wing on the outside wall, where we've seen, I think, most recently Giovinazzi going off and spearing it into the barriers and destroying, totaling the car. As, yeah, he's not going to be happy with that one, as Ulas Azildrum will be closing up to Villacampa. I think he'll be able to go for the overtake. I don't want to take off the tyre details. I'd say they are very important to have when you're looking at an alternate strategy battle. But through now La Source, yeah, I've seen Tokyo. I'm seeing nice drift. It could be Tokyo Drift for Bryn. You might need to submit that clip somewhere, but here is Azildrum finally. He's been closing up for a number of laps now on the back of Villacampa. A bit of a slide through Radion, but now off the exit of the corner. They're going to be running wheel to wheel, but the DRS going to reign supreme in this race. Villacampa cannot do anything to contest that overtake with Ulas Azildrum, who's now up into 2nd position, but still with time penalties to his name. We'll actually just have a look at the tyres. Or sorry, the time penalties that driver has got. The top 3 all with 3 seconds at the moment. Risky without a penalty. 6 seconds for Ulas Azildrum. Then Villacampa and Bryn also keeping it clean. Shazoo Ace on 3 seconds of time penalties. 12 seconds for Danestar. I don't know what he's done to do that there. As Tom 97 as well with a 6-second penalty, as does Pavi have. As Dormeyer has just picked up 6 seconds. He's managed to find his way through on Dormeyer, but not close enough to go for the overtake. Or what am I talking about there? I'm losing track of what battles are what. But now Dormeyer finally leads the Grand Prix because, of course, he is already pitted. Hugh and Bowen, I'd imagine this lap or next lap, will come into the box. Red Bull car staying out, but the Haas does opt to pit. TF10 Bowen with a slide into the pit lane does finally box to take off those medium tyres after 13 laps of running on them. He'll now go on to a set of the softs to run to the end of the Grand Prix. Villacampa has just about taken DRS on Ulas Azildrum. A deep run through turn 1. He might actually lose a bit of time to the McLaren, but I'd imagine he will still have DRS towards the Kemmel Straight. Up Eau Rouge and Radion they go now, and yeah, he'll be close enough, but not enough to go for a position. As the battle for the Haas cars, a 3-lap undercut from Danestar on his teammate has netted him about 3 seconds. So very strong undercut as always on F1. As Villacampa at this point in time just going to be sitting in the wings. I wonder if Bryn is going to be hanging back for the time being as well. Maybe he'll start to push at some point. Looking at his dashboard on his car, he's not got too much in the way of ERS power to utilize down the straight, or just any point on the circuit to go for the overtake, but possibly could just start to push more. Of course, he can't play with any of his engine mixtures as well. As Azildrum going for a spin there. And I think the inside curb has caught him out there. And I think Bryn was also caught out by the spinning McLaren, because he's picked up a 3-second time penalty for multiple track extensions. Azildrum going to continue to lose positions as Ace manages to nip it by on him. As what has happened here? My game might have crashed. Yeah, okay. My game has unfortunately completely crashed. So I will have to rejoin the session. Hopefully I can join through Bryn's profile, as this is unfortunate, everyone. I do apologize for this going on. It hasn't happened on the game so far, but it did happen on the last game. Just had a quick issue with my game. I will be relaunching it now, and hopefully I can join through Bryn's previous invites if he has sent me one, which I'm hoping he has. This should not take more than a couple minutes, everyone. Do not fear. As how are you all finding this race so far? I'm just seeing, have I got an invite? Oh dear. F1, it's not the servers. My game completely shut down there, and I don't think I can rejoin. This is a huge issue. I can't get an invite from anyone. Oh dear. Right, I'm seeing if I can. I can't watch it. See if I can have a little look on Steam, possibly, if I can join any of them. I needed a second invite, but unfortunately I didn't get one earlier on. Possibly I'm gonna message Bryn just on not on Discord, on Steam. Just seeing if I can get an invite. As so far, let's talk about the race. So far in this one, we've had a lot of thrills and spills so far in the Grand Prix. Many drivers DNFing as well, so lot of issues going on there. I'm just off the top of my head. The big ones we've lost are HX4K and Desaluski. Get one of the retirees to invite. I'm not too sure. As Bryn is a saviour. I've just received an invite. I'm rejoining the session. He's mid-race at the moment, and he's just re-invited me. I will have to thank him on Twitter, but we are getting back into the race, everyone. I'm just loading up now, and I will change the scene very quickly, as we should be getting underway soon, as it is closing up to the time of the end of the race. I don't want to miss it. Here we are back in the race scene. As what has happened, I don't have any audio. There we go. Seems like the rest of the medium runners did decide to pit, and it seems like they have come out pretty close positions. Bryn, fighting for points with Villacampa, has managed to invite me mid-race, and I can't thank him enough for that one there. I won't enable those. I'll keep it clean on the graphics, but I will actually get off the track map. There we go. So the track map is up, so we'll see where everyone is on circuit. It seems like the closest battles are for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. The train following on down here at this point, led by Danestar with a number of penalties. I must say he has unfortunately received quite a few of them, so he will be losing on a lot of time. Hugh is a long way back. I wonder if he had a spin possibly at some point. And well, yeah, I'd imagine he definitely did have a spin, because he's a long way back from Bowen. Those two were fighting at some point in the race, and now they're a long distance. As Ace at the moment, 8 laps on his medium tyres versus 5 laps on Danestar's tyres, should be somewhat equal in pace. Maybe those softs on Danestar will just be a little bit quicker, but I'd say the DRS does not matter. The DRS will not care about that one, as he lags back through him there. And I'm not too sure what's happened with that one, but Danestar loses out on 6th. Tom97 will be following through at this point as well. Just seems like Bowen is also losing a bit of time, which I'm really surprised to see with the soft compound of tyres. Soft's losing out a lot of time, but he's only been on them 2 laps. Very interesting to see, as Tom97 will be closing up to the back of Danestar as Hall. Ace running off the circuit there, as Villacampa's got his first time penalty only one of the 10 runners left in this race. Risky has not got a time penalty to his name. At this point, he is winning this race due to Dormeyer having 6 seconds worth of time penalties as Danestar runs a touch wide through Stabilo. Here comes Tom 97. It seems like he's got the best run out of all the runners through Blanchimont. Now running up towards the kink in the turn. Now, oh, look at this. Look at the run he's got. He can look to the outside line. He has to back out because Ace has gone for the move on Danestar. Danestar being very generous with the space that he's given him there off the exit, off the corner. Will Ace go for it in towards turn number 1? You can see pulling to the outside line. Now into the braking zone. He's made that move stick, but the door's been shut on the outside. And Tom 97 has managed to sneak through. Not quite as now on the run up towards Eau Rouge and Radion. We could see a 3-wide situation down the Kemmel Straight. Ace pulling off to the left-hand side. It's not enough. What about now opening up the DRS? They're 3 abreast coming down the straightaway here as Tom 97 is going to be the one to challenge Ace to the outside line of Lecom. Who is going to come out on top there? It seems like they've all got through cleanly. Ace in 5th, Tom 97 in 6th, 7th for Bowen, and losing out a number of positions is Danestar. Tom 97 running wide through Rivage, trying to sneak up the inside is Bowen. Now in towards No Name. He has to back out on the outside. The gap was always going to close, but he's got the better run up towards Puon. Don't tell me he's going to go for the move into this corner. He hangs back for the time being. This is the battle for 6th position. Ace beginning to sneak away up the road. Tom 97 doing really well to defend there. Martinez holding off TF10 Bowen and Danestar, the 2 Hasses on the alternate strategy, 7th and 8th at the moment. They've come a long way through the grid, but of course a lot of drivers DNFing in this race as it seems like the action drawing to a slight close. Do apologise there, I just paused it by accident. Got to change that one up there. Bowen still looking to make a move on Tom Martinez through towards the boss stop chicane. He's going to switch it to the inside line. Doesn't quite go for the insane dive bomb that I was expecting, but he did have a half look. But a half committed move is not going to get you anywhere in Formula 1, possibly in towards turn number 1. That's what he's looking like down the inside line. He's gone way too deep through the corner. Tom 97 having to lift off to take avoiding action, but Bowen did make the move stick. Maybe not in the cleanest way he would have liked to, and he certainly sacrificed a lot of time as well. But I don't think Tom 97 will be too best pleased with that. Never mind it though, because Bowen has a slide through Radion, and now down the DRS straightaway once again. They're going to be wheel to wheel through here, side by side. Tom 97 up the inside line. Oh my goodness me, that could be catastrophic. Tom 97 catches the curve. Danestar going to have a half look in here as they're all going to run down in this train towards Rivage on the downhill right-hander, turn number 8. Bowen still maintains the position on Tom 97 as what a turn of events we've just seen there. Bowen having a slide up Radion, but it wasn't enough as Risky does take his first 3-second time penalty of the Grand Prix as the battles on circuit, they don't stretch towards the end. They just want to take the positions. They want to have the honor and the glory of going for the overtake, and they're making the most of it as Danestar gets another 3-second time penalty. The amount I've seen him popping up on my screen, I'd imagine he's not too far of actually getting disqualified from this race. But nevertheless, he's still fighting at the back of Tom 97, hounding the rear of the Mercedes car in this race. Can he go for the move potentially in towards the corner? Doesn't seem like it. I think Tom 97 is using a bit of his overtake, which he seems to have just a slight bit more of than Danestar. And no, he's not going to be able to go for the move here. Lap 20 of 22. We've been watching the battle very intensely for about a lap now. Just between these, I guess you could kind of consider them back markers in this grid at this point because of how many DNFs there have been at this point. And I will stress to you that it will not be like this once season 29 actually begins in Bahrain. A lot of drivers will see the benefits in finishing the race, and also potential of safety cars will come their way. So the races will not be like this, certainly in the future. So do not lose hope on PSGL. I'm just letting you know these are only social races. They have no real effect on whether you take any points. There's no points for offer. So yeah, just the races won't be like this. That's what I'm saying. You don't have to turn up and finish a race to get points, which is what Pavi's doing, because he's getting lapped by the grid at the moment. I wonder if he's actually in AI mode. No, he's not. He did pit very early on. He's been on these hard tyres for 7 laps, so a 2-stopper, not really going to be beneficial in most scenarios, unless you're using faster tyres. And Hugh gets a penalty. Hugh's a long way back at this point, so I don't think that's really going to have any bearing on his finishing result, as it seems like the battle is beginning to calm down between these drivers. I'd imagine Bowen's about to lose DRS to Ace in front of him, so I'd say those soft tyres are beginning to go off the cliff a little bit early on as well in their tyre life. 5 laps, and also early on in their life cycle, in terms of like how much wear they've been put into, because they're lighter on fuel is not going to have any effect on whether I'm not really talking about, but it won't be as detrimental as what I'm saying to the tyre life degradation. But it seems like it is phasing in pretty heavily here, because Tom97 has closed up our rate of knots and now challenging up Eau Rouge and Radion. Danestar running wide in the background there, but now wheel to wheel running down towards the Laycom chicane. Seems like easy enough move for Tom97 there, but what about Danestar? The 2 Haas cars going to run wheel to wheel into Laycom. Daring move from the number 94 Haas car of Danestar. He's made that move stick, and he's now into 7th position, taking a time penalty in the making of it. Let's have a look at the fastest lap in this race. The fastest lap belongs to Hugh, a 40.0, and that is mostly because of his his pit stop being later on than anyone else. He was the last driver to pit in this race, and it has been been a tough race for him, but he has got the fastest lap, so that is at least one bit of consolation that he can take in this race. As here we go, Danestar is feeling the pressure from his teammate. Lap 22 I should say, is about to begin for Andreas Dormeyer. I think we'll ride on board with the German, and you know what, after these two possibly have their battle, we'll ride on board with Dormeyer towards the end, because I think he is winning this Grand Prix. Yeah, he should be. So the battle goes on to the final lap. Both these drivers running very deep. Danestar especially as a bit of a nudge from his teammate there. The 2 Haas cars coming to blows. I think Danestar probably backed off ever so slightly to take DRS down the Kemmel straightaway, which might be a smart move from him there. Bowen moves into 7th position, but that could be temporary, because here they go. I think Tom97 as well. It's actually going to be challenging Shazoo Ace, so we can watch this battle. He seems like he's closer than Danestar is to his teammate, but it is going to be a mountain to climb, as Danestar's actually out of the Grand Prix. Here comes Tom97 on the final lap of the Grand Prix. Shazoo Ace fighting it on the outside line, contact between the pair of them, as here comes Tom97 still trying to get the better run on the Alfa Romeo car, level pegging for the amount of tyre wear that they have. Can he go over the move into Rouge Rivage? He's not close enough this time by, but I don't think he'll have another opportunity to make an overtake work, unless possibly through Blanchimont and into the final sector. But let's watch Andreas Dormeyer, a brilliant showing from the Red Bull car today, and he should be taking the win. His win was actually almost robbed from him last time out in Spain, where he led the race towards the end, but his mountain of time penalties ended in him falling many positions down the order. I think he finished in about 6th, but through the bus stop chicane for the final time, it is going to be Andreas Dormeyer taking the flag first and taking the win in the 3rd social race of PSGL Season 29. Andreas Dormeyer is your winner. Checking back into the battle between Tom97 and Shazoo Ace. He is closing up to the back. Martinez, can he go in for the move? I don't know if he can. He's hanging back for the time being, possibly off the exit. I don't think it is meant to be. Shazoo Ace is going to finish in 5th position. Tom97 takes on 6th. Bowen in 7th. 8th for Hugh, it's looking like, and he'll be the last of our finishers. Danestar is still going to finish in 9th despite not finishing the race. And that is largely based on the fact that Pavi was lapped. So he only did 21 laps in this race. Hugh's going to cross the line. And that is the end of the 3rd social race here in PSGL in Belgium. And what an event it has been. WOR Bryn Aiden Jackson, it seems, taking driver of the day. Excuse me there. But that is the end. The Andreas Dormeyer takes to the podium. AlphaTauri of Risky takes second. And Villacampa, a bit of a quiet day from him. He manages to take third position in the end. They celebrate atop the podium. Champagne spraying along the crowd as the confetti flies. Andreas Dormeyer's got to be happy about that one there. But let's have a look at the results of the drivers, and then we'll get towards the end of the stream. Andreas Dormeyer taking the win with a best lap of a 43.2. Risky, very similar pace to Dormeyer in the end, and I think those two would have had a brilliant battle between the pair of them. Oscar Villacampa in third, fourth for Bryn Evans, fifth for Ace, Tom 97, Tom Martinez only in sixth after his spin early on in the race. Bowen in seventh, Hugh in eighth. Not finishing the race is Danestar and Pavi a lap down in the end. And then your DNFs in this Grand Prix is quite a list. Ulis Azildrim, who took pole in this Grand Prix, Shizu Neon, Antoine Desalitsky, FVR Don, VRT Sandro, and then not even making it past the first lap, Ruben Pedreño, Oscar Marino, HX4K, and Carter Lundy. But with that, everybody, that is the end of our stream. Thank you for coming along to this one here. Season 29, of course, that battle the best, the biggest PlayStation and PC league certainly out there. Here's the calendar just to have a look. We'll be headed to Bahrain in just about 2 weeks time, everybody. It's getting closer. I am so excited to finally get season 29 underway. But that is it from the social race. That is it from me, your commentator Danfield. And I'd just like to mention also that you can follow us on Twitter at PremierSimGL, and join our Discord as well. Make sure, I believe that's in the description of this video, but it is also linked in our Twitter bio. But from me, that is it. And thank you everyone for watching. We reached a peak viewership. I can't see it now, but we had about almost 200 viewers at one point, so that is an incredible figure, and I hope that you have a brilliant evening. Make sure you check in on the stream currently going on at the moment, the Esports Invitational, where some of the biggest names in F1 esports will be racing today. But from me, thank you and goodbye. Stay safe, everybody.